बंधु रघुपति कर किंकर सुरत भरत भेटे उति सागर. He says, Hanuman continues, he says, O Bharat, I am a humble servant of Sri Ram. He didn't say a devotee. I am a humble servant. He takes a special pleasure in referring to himself as the servant of Prabhu Sri Ram. Meaning, Lord Sri Ram, you are my master. I am your servant. I am at your beck and call every moment of my life. That is a relationship that we must have with our beloved Sri Ram. Lord, you are the master. I am your servant. Whatever you ask of me, I am ready and willing simply to do it, to fulfill your wishes. That is Hanuman's relationship with Sri Ram. So he says, Deena Bandhu Raghupati Karaki. I am a humble servant of Prabhu Sri Ram, who is a befriender of the humble. Surata Bharata Bhete Utisagar. The moment Bharat heard that, what did he do? Tulsidas says, he arose and he reverently embraced Sri Hanuman. The word used here, Sunata Bharat Bhet Tevu Utisara. You know what Bhet? Bhet is the embrace. To put it clearly, in a Hindu wedding, when the bridegroom goes with his party to the bride's home, before they enter into the precincts of the bride's home, both parties meet in the road. The bride's father, he has a contingent that comes with him. And so too, the groom's father. And they go and they meet before they enter into the precincts of the Dulahin's home. And both the bridegroom's father and the bride's father, they embrace. That embrace is what you call bhet. And that bhet is where both hearts meet as they embrace. And that the symbolism in that is that from today, both our families are one, and both hearts meet. Your family is mine, and mine is yours. That is the close, that is what is meant by that warm embrace. It is such an embrace that Hanuman and Bharat had, where both hearts met, as though one heart is beating. Think of that embrace. Could you think of embracing Sri Hanuman? Think of the energy that is emanating from Hanuman, and it fills you with love, with bhakti, with devotion. Just his divine touch heals you. It has a healing power. And that is the power of Hanuman. Hanuman comes, you see, Bharat was drowning in his sorrow. Hanuman comes and he lifts him as a boat, takes him out of that predicament. And that is Hanuman. So whenever we are in difficulties, Sri Hanuman is there. Simply call on him and he comes. So, Bara Bara Bhuji Kushalata. Bara Bara means again. Kushalata means he is always asking, how? Tell me of the welfare of Sri Ram. Tell me of his well-being. Togahu Devu Kaha Sunubrata. He said, listen brother, what shall I give you in return for this great news? Just imagine, Bharat is asking him, Hanuman just brought that news. And he's asking, tell me brother, what can I give you in return for that wonderful news that you have brought me? So you see, this tells us that for little mercies, we must extend our kindness and appreciation. Just that word. Sometimes people give you so much and you don't even think of them. They are not even in your mind. But you want to get more. Think of this. He has simply given a message. Somebody comes and tells you in the village, you know, Mr. X is coming, or your son is coming home. A mother hearing this alone, if that son is away, somebody comes and tells you, Mommy or Mom or whoever you want to call her neighbor, your son is coming. That message alone brings a certain energy in the mother, just by hearing that news. Bharat expressed that same kind of thinking, that same kind of feeling. He says, brother, no news is as good as the one you have brought me. What can I give you in return? How can I show my appreciation for this wonderful news that you have brought me? Tulsidas sings in Chaupai. एही संदेह सरिस जगमाही करी विचार देखे कचुनाही. Hanuman is saying, and in fact Bharat is saying, Hanuman, I have given vicharing the thing deeply, not to just think shallow, deeply. It says, I have given a great thought, I have put in great amount of thought, but I find no tidings that in the world to match those which you have brought. And what was the tidings? The news of Sri Rama's coming. If someone were to tell you, a great and towering personality is coming to this temple this evening. He is qualified in all the Vedas and the Puranas, all the scripture texts. Everybody is happy to come to be here. You want to be here a few hours before to ensure that you get a space. How much more if you get the news that the Lord is coming? How much more would be the desire to be here? You can't sleep, you want to be here all the time. So Bharat is so enthused with this message. He says, Hanuman, there is no other news that could match with the one that you have brought me. It is so powerful, it is so meaning, it is so dear to my heart. He says, Nahi natat udana maitohi. He says, friend, nahi natat udana maitohi. My dear friend, I am eternally indebted to you. To be in debt with someone, to say I am indebted to you means you cannot repay, or that you have too much to repay. You cannot pay him for what he has done. You think you can repay your mom or dad for what they have done for you? There are people who now work and have a good job, and they treat their parents so much. They think that by giving them a little shelter and so on, that you have done your job. You could never ever repay your parents. Not in this life, not in the next, and not in the next. That is the indebtedness that he's talking about. I'm eternally indebted. All eternally means forever. I'm eternally indebted to you simply for this news that you have brought to me. You have taken me out of that down state and you have given me new life. He says, Abra Prabhu Charit Sunao Abra Prabhu Charit. Now, Prabhu Charit means the activities, the events in the life of Prabhu Shri Ram, what he has done. You say Ram Charit Manas. Ram Charit means the activities of Shri Ram. This book is called Ram Charit Manas. It is the lake, Manas lake, the lake of the activities of Prabhu Shri Ram. If you want to refresh yourself in taking a bath, then take a bath in these scriptures. So he says, pray, tell me now, Abra Prabhu Charit Sunava. Tell me now of my Lord's adventures. Tell me of the adventures of Prabhu Shri Ram. So I'm coming close to the end. I have one Jaupai, a Chand, and a Doha to complete tonight's lesson. I know. So Tulsidas sings in Chaupai, Jai Rama Shri Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Shri Rama Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Jai Rama Shri Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Shri Rama Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama. तब हनुमंत नाहि पदमाथा काहे कहे सकल रघुपति गुण गाथा. Then Hanuman, he bowed his head at Bharat's feet. Taba Hanumant Nai Padamata. Nai Pad means at the head. His bow his head at the feet of Bharat. He looks upon Bharat as even Prabhu Shri Ram himself. Look at the respect of Hanuman. Hanuman is one of the greatest devotees of Prabhu Shri Ram. But his humility is overbounding. It is beyond our thinking. Hanuman never takes credit for anything that he has done. When he went to Lanka and he entered the precincts of Ravan, he burned Lanka and did all these things and got rid of the demons and so on. Shri Ram asked him, he said, Hanuman, tell me, how did you get over that fortress that was heavily fortified. How did you get into that fortress of Rama? He says, my Lord, it was all because of your grace, all because of your doing. I was only an instrument in your hand. You afforded me the power to do that. He never took credit for anything that he has done. The credit was always Prabhu Shri Ram. Whatever he is about to do, Jai Shri Ram, he never did anything without calling that name. And the moment he calls the name Jai Shri Ram, he is fortified with a ton of energy, beyond anything that you can think about. So he says, Tava Hanumanta Nai Padamata, he bows at Bharat's feet and told him, Kahe Sakar Raghupati Gunagata. He says that he tells him all the great things that Sri Ram had done, all the great things that he had done. Remember, he had asked, tell me about the activities, the charit of Sri Ram. And now he told him everything. So he says here, Kahu kapikabahu kripala gosai sumirahi mohi dasa kinai. He says, tell me Hanuman, said Bharat is asking, tell me Hanuman. He says, does this gracious Lord Sri Ram ever think of me or remember me as his servant? He didn't say, Hanuman, does he ever think of me as a little brother? He didn't say that. What did he say? He said, tell me, Hanuman, has he ever thought of me as a servant? Look where he puts himself. Bharat is one of the greatest and most towering personalities in Sri Ram's Manas. But look at his humility. He didn't say brother. He said, Hanuman, has my brother, has Sri Ram, my God, has he ever thought of me as a servant? And in this beautiful chapter, Tulsidas, I have the chant and the Duha complete. Nijadasa Jora Guban Sabhushan Kavahu Mama Sumira Kartyo Suni Bharata Bachana Vinita Ati Kapi Pulaki Tada Charananda. He's saying, he's asking again. He says, Sri Hanuman has a jewel of the house of Raghu Kula Nayak. Has that jewel of the house of Raghu been Sri Ram? Has he ever remembered me as his servant? He's asking again. On hearing Bharat's very humble speech, that is Hanuman, hearing this, the love with which it came from the mouth, from the lips of Bharat, he knew that it's so submissive. He's given all in humility. Hanuman is recognizing the truth and the sincerity and the purity of the heart of Bharat. On hearing Bharat's very humble speech, Hanuman was in rapture. And Hanuman fell at the feet of Bharat. Why was that? He was overcome by the purity, by the simplicity, by the honesty of Bharat. Hanuman fell at the feet of Bharat. And he said to himself, he's telling Bharat, he says, how Raghubir Nija Mukha Jasu Gunagan Kahat Aga Jagannath Jo Kahe Na Hoi Binita Param Punit Sadaguna Sindhuso. He's saying, Bharat, how can it be otherwise? How can he be otherwise than humble? He's saying that about Bharat. Hanuman is saying, for what he's displaying, from his attitude, he's saying to himself, how can Bharat be otherwise than humble and dignified, honorable? He couldn't be anything else but that. Simplicity, humility, incarnate. And he said, he's saying to himself that Sri Ram always talks about Bharat. He says, how can he be otherwise than humble? Because Sri Ram himself, he's saying he is the holiest of the holy and an ocean of perfections whose virtues Raghunath, meaning Lord Ram, Lord of all creation, recites with his own lips. He's saying, how can he be otherwise, Bharat? Because Sri Ram himself, with his own gracious lips, his own lotus-like lips, he continues to narrate of your greatness, of your humility, of your honor, of your decency. Sri Ram himself. And if Sri Ram says or narrates about his simplicity and his purity, then that is it. It could be no other way. Because God is the indweller of all hearts. He's Antarjami. He's the indweller of all hearts. So He knows what you are thinking. He knows what you are about to think, what you will think, and what you have thought about. He knows all that. So Sri Ram knows. And in his Doha, Tulsidas sings, Rama prana priya nath tamha satya bachan mama. Prana and prana priya. Prana is life, priya is loving. He said that the Lord said to Rama, you are our dear as life, prana priya. He said Bharat. In fact, he refers to Bharat as Lord. Hanuman is saying, Lord, to Rama, you are as dear as life itself. Prana Priya. Satya Vachana means truthful words. Mamata. He says, my brother, I have told you true words, my dear master. Satya Mamata. I have spoken to you the truth. He says, Puni Puni Milata Bharata Suni Harashana Hridaya. Puni Puni means again and again. Again and again, Bharat embraced Hanuman. He embraced Hanuman with a joy which was more than his heart could contain. You know, in the first time, perhaps I've skipped it, I must have missed that line. When Bharat embraced Hanuman, he says, Hanuman, I skipped the second line of the Chopai. When he embraced Hanuman, Bharat is saying, he said, today Hanuman, I have embraced in you my brother Prabhu Shri Rama. You see, so powerful is Hanuman that embracing him is embracing the divine himself. A devotee is like the Lord himself, you know. A true bhakta, the moment he calls on Prabhu Shri Ram doesn't wait. He comes immediately. And to give you an example, it's like a mother and a child. No matter what mother is doing, the moment the child cries, she leaves everything and she goes to service the child. That is the relationship between Sri Ram and his dedicated devotee. The moment you call, he comes.